I appear to be slightly out of focus. Now I'm more out of focus. It's the one bad thing. I got a new camera, but it's manual focus, and
I'll fidgety sometimes.
it can be really tricky to. Okay,
See,
cool.
that's how mine was years ago when I live streamed. There's a manual focus one.
Sweet. Welcome everybody to another episode of Down the Middle. This podcast is brought to you by OMG CBD. More on them later. But tonight, we're all in. I mean, not yet, but we will be. Well, maybe we will be. I don't know. I'll be honest. This card kind of sucks.
That's not the only thing that sucks right now.
I
There's
don't
been
need to
a
know
lot.
what happens between you and Svetlana.
There's a lot of stinker stuff coming out of AEW within these last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and as per usual, well, I can't necessarily tell you the culprit, but the company has a. Before we get into the card, I don't know if you're aware of the alleged backstage drama that took place at a collision show between Jungle Boy, Jack Perry, and CM Punk.
I did not know about that one.
Okay, so apparently, and granted, obviously, what's that?
That's another one to just add on to everything else going on.
Well, I don't normally care much for the drama at AEW because A, there is so much of it, and B, it's usually stupid. And this is stupid, but it does point to what I think is the number one issue in the company. Now, some people will disagree with me, as it's been well established. I'm not as big of a hardcore fan as you are and some other fans are. I believe it has its place, but when used sparingly, it can be very effective. But when it's an every week kind of thing, ECW seems to be the exception. But even so, like for a very long time, they weren't on weekly television, and when they got to be on weekly television, it's not that it was toned down, but it was certain things were done less often. But I digress. So allegedly, what happened was, I guess on Collision, which I haven't watched yet, there was a spot where Jungle Boy was supposed to attack CM Punk, and Jungle Boy wanted to use real broken glass in the angle or encounter, whatever, and he was at. I'm trying to take this from memory, so if I get a detail wrong, I apologize. But he was basically told that he needed to run it by Punk, and Punk said no because it's stupid. We don't, and I guess he was quoted as saying, "We don't do that on Saturday nights." And apparently, Jungle Boy got huffy. But once again, given that situation, I agree with Punk. Why? Why? What reason could you possibly have for A, wanting to use glass in a segment like that at all? And B, if you are going to use glass, why would you use real broken glass? It's not worth the risk.
Yeah, especially since it's not for a match or anything. It's just for a segment.
Exactly. It's not even for a match. And honestly, like, I know some people take issue with using, like, which I don't know if I want to. It's not my place to say this, but there's a process that you can go through and apply to glass so that it's still real glass, but it breaks much easier.
Yeah.
And it's considered just safer when you're talking about something like a bottle, for example. But I don't. I guess my logic with it is if you feel the need to use glass, then realistically you can use fake glass. And if it's something where fake glass isn't going to cut it, then why are you using glass in the first place? I don't know.
Agreeable.
That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah,
But
I agree with you on that.
yeah, so apparently that happened. um, but yeah, I mean, just before we get into the card, this would be a really good card for an indie show. But the problem with the card is it feels like an indie show card. Like, don't get me wrong, an all-star indie show card. But
In
if
in
if
in my opinion, AEW is an indie show blown up.
I mean, there was a glimmer of hope there that they were that they were acting like a legitimate wrestling company, but they've regressed back into the basically it's a huge budget indie.
Yeah, that's just the way I see AEW and picture it.
Well, and the ratings reflect that. Now, where there's been a couple of times where they started to try to get away, where they've started getting away from that feel. One of them was when CM Punk came back the first time. Well, came back to wrestling, you know what I mean. Um, and then when Cody was really in his stride, it started to feel like a legit company. Not necessarily only because of Cody, but just the vibe of the company was like that. But I, again, I had major hope for this card, and we still have to do our walkthrough of the original All In. We might do that on the next episode because we will be removed from this All In. And I'll be honest, I don't even know if I'm gonna watch this pay per view
Yeah.
because I there's one match I care about, and but we'll get into that. So first, which is actually going to be in the pre-show, and again, this may not necessarily be the order of the matches, but we go through that every time. So we've got MJF and Adam Cole challenging Aussie Open for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships.
So don't think MJF and Adam Cole's going to win it.
They have to.
I only say that.
There's one way. There's one way they can do this properly. Well, there's
if we finally see the turn.
And that's what it is. What's going to have to happen. And to have it happen on the same night, I'm not going to say it's stupid, but it will feel so rushed. And a lot of these matches aren't necessarily bad, but once again, the booking just didn't have time to breathe. Like the MJF and Adam Cole thing, that could have gone on for months and months and months. I think it's gone on for has it been about a month and a half, maybe a little bit longer.
Maybe two at the
most. Maybe 2 months. This could have been a 6-month story. And frankly, what would have been nice is, let's say they knew All In was coming, the match had already been made, and they're still doing the buddy thing like they still are. Was there a Ring of Honor pay-per-view recently?
I don't think so.
Well, if there had been, or somehow, some way they challenged for these tag titles before All In, and MJF swerves at the end and is basically like, I don't want these, I don't want these indie tag titles. Why would I waste my time and wrestle more?
Unless they do the turn beforehand, and then it leaves one person going into the tag.
But okay, that's not an engaging match. Because unless they're really stupid, the person who's going solo is obviously going to lose. So automatically nobody cares about the match unless they're really dumb and have Adam Cole beat Aussie Open, which just buried one of your alleged top tag teams and the Ring of Honor tag champions. Now, it's so stupid AEW might do it.
Yeah.
They shouldn't. But yeah, I see. Here's the thing. Unless MJF screws Adam Cole, or what might be interesting, which with anybody but MJF this would work, if Adam Cole screwed MJF. But that automatically turns MJF into a babyface, which, like I said, if it's anybody other than MJF, it would work.
Yeah.
But because it's MJF, and again, it's so stupid, AEW might do it.
Yeah.
But the only way this works from a storytelling perspective is you either have MJF and Adam Cole win the belts, or you have MJF screw over Adam Cole, which again, just I mean, it makes sense, but it could be done so much better if it was given time to breathe.
Yeah, I completely understand what you're getting at.
So I mean, I guess my prediction is that once again, sometimes when I make these predictions, I have to imagine myself as I'm thrust into a creative role and be like, okay, this is the card, we have to book it now. What do we do? Like Tony Khan falls into a coma or something. He's not there. At which
Yeah.
point, logically, CM Punk would probably book it, but actually, no, the EVPs would. Oh God, Tony Khan, stay healthy. Actually, I don't know. I don't know. Anywho, I mean, I see MJF screwing over Cole, unless they're gonna keep this MJF Adam Cole buddy buddy thing going. But why? Now again, I might be wrong about this, but I mean, why? What's the whole? It logically it leads up to their match at All In.
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, I guess they could carry it over to the next pay per view, but it seems kind of anticlimactic. Unless Roddy screws them over.
Yeah, he could screw them both over.
Actually, yeah, now that I think of it, I could see Roddy screwing him over.
Yeah, because we've been seeing him in the background on watching.
And was it Aussie Open that came up to him a couple weeks ago, or was that another tag team? I can't remember. Oh no, I'm sorry, it was the Kingdom.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, now that I think about it, I can see Roddy screwing him over. But again, to what end? I think that's what's going to happen. That's my call. So I think they're going to lose, but I think it's going to be because Roddy screws him over. But I don't know. Maybe MJF will screw Adam Cole and be like, "I was going to screw us over for the tag teams, but then your stupid friend came in and did it for us."
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Something along those lines, I can agree on.
Yeah. So do you share my prediction, or do you have anything to add for the pre-show?
I share it.
You shat
Mm-hmm.
your pants?
Yeah, a little bit.
He's just so excited. And then what is supposed to be the first match of the pay per view, which this is a mistake. Well, yeah, this is a mistake. FTR, assuming Cash Wheeler makes it or is able to leave the country.
Everything I've read, they've said his passport's fine. They're not taking it away from him.
So I mean, I wouldn't imagine, considering this is for work and his travel theoretically is already taking, like, it's already planned.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be something though? If Cash Wheeler stays in England to get rid of a road rage charge. And I'll be honest, I actually watched his, I guess it would be his bail hearing. For those that don't know, Cash Wheeler, I guess it was over the weekend or last week sometime, was arrested, allegedly brandishing a firearm to complete strangers. Apparently, it was a road rage incident. I don't think he. I don't think he pulled a gun on anybody, and the reason I say that is because that would be absurdly stupid, and he doesn't seem like somebody who's that stupid.
Yeah.
Now, it may have been a case where it looked like he was brandishing a firearm, but that could be at a certain distance. That could be anything. But I think he was a good boy and did what everybody who gets in any sort of legal trouble should do: is shut up, let his lawyer talk, and then just deal with it.
Yep.
But assuming all that is smooth, we've got FTR defending their AEW World Tag Team Championships against the Young Bucks in the rubber match. Now, this is one of the few pay-per-view worthy matches, both because as much as I'm disliking what the Young Bucks are doing, there is no denying they're a great tag team. Historically, especially, they've been very entertaining, very innovative, And they're very creative guys. That's why I have a hard time, because some of the stuff they were doing when they were working at New Japan, Ring of Honor, and all those, like all the behind the scenes storytelling, and the fact that Nick Jackson still sells his lower back from time to time,
Mhm.
like they're not. I think a lot of people hate on them, and it's not deserved, but they do some really goofy shit from a storytelling perspective. But I gotta believe this match is going to be really good.
Yeah, in my opinion, the Young Bucks work good with anybody. FTR works good with anybody.
FTR can, ironically, FTR could have a match with a mop and a blow up doll,
Yeah,
but they would never do such a thing.
I don't know since AEW, but
Nah, I think I will say this: FTR strikes me, and they're not the only ones, but FTR strikes me as a couple of guys who, when Collision came around, and especially after the first episode, they were like, "Well, at least we don't have to go back to WWE yet. There's still hope. There's hope on the horizon." Which, by the way, it has come out that the Elite have all re-signed 5-year deals with All Elite Wrestling. So, barring an unfortunate injury, which I don't wish on anyone, but barring an injury, we will be seeing more of them. I just hope they can stop doing stupid shit. And Hangman Page needs a new finishing move because Logan Paul stole his.
they both they they both do the buckshot pretty well though.
You know what? I was just about to say, well, no. And I guess it's not a finisher for Logan Paul, I don't think. So. Okay, so Hangman, you're good. Now, if Logan Paul starts wearing cowboy boots, there's gimmick infringement happening. I'll be honest, I'm not really sure. I don't know who should win this match, and I don't really know who will win this match. Historically speaking, the Young Bucks have been very. And see, this is the thing. They also get a bad rap because it's documented now that Tony Khan had to step in creatively and kind of take the reins away from the Elite when it came to booking. But that's because they kept booking everybody else
Mm-hmm.
to win, and Tony had to put his foot down, which is a decision that I agree with, and say, no, you guys are the stars. All Elite Wrestling. I'll be honest, I think, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, I think the Young Bucks should win the titles after absolutely tearing the house down, but it will segue into them doing some more serious stuff. Like, kind of get back to their roots, sort of. Like, ditch Brandon Cutler and ditch Nakazawa, ditch all this stupid shit. And I'm not saying fire Brandon Cutler. I actually enjoyed Brandon Cutler when he was just wrestling. Granted, he was essentially a glorified enhancement talent, but I mean, he doesn't suck. I mean, what you got?
I'm good.
No.
I'm listening. I'm here.
I need you to talk. It's a talk show. Talking about wrestling.
So I think the Young Bucks are going to win, and I only say that because of everything going on with Cash right now. I think they're going to segue away from FTR taking a little time off.
Yeah, I could see that, and that may not necessarily be a bad move because FTR is one of those teams where you could insert them back in any time, and
Yeah,
it'll be a-okay. So there is that. But to be honest, I think the Young Bucks. I would have said the Young Bucks even before Cash's legal woes, which hopefully that doesn't last long at all. But
no, and like we were saying, like with FTR, they don't need a story to just kind of put them in there. They can just, oh, there's a mystery opponent tonight, and then bam, you can have the FTR. They just plug and play so easy, I think.
which is almost a shame because unfortunately, in a place like AEW, and honestly, this happened in WWE too. They're so versatile and good that you can throw them in anywhere and have a banger of a match, but that can lead to the temptation to do less storytelling. because I have noticed that when it comes to FTR, there's just historically with them, there's been a handful of times where they're in an actual story,
Yeah.
but they're usually just a tag team that has good matches, which is kind of a shame. Now,
Yeah.
that being said, if they were, which they don't need to drop the titles to do this, but I think it would be a logical step. This opens them up to do more stuff on Collision with CM Punk, including a trios title run, if they so chose to do.
I
Just
don't.
a thought.
It's definitely a thought, but I don't know. I don't. I think personally they're attaching CM Punk too much with FTR.
I think honestly that's to get FTR more of a rub. Now, again, you and I are somewhat biased because I've thought about this. You and I are already FTR fans, but there is a segment. It's a segment I don't understand, but there is a segment of the wrestling fandom that are not huge fans of FTR. I don't know why, because they're awesome, and they're my guess would be they're trying to give them a little bit more of a rub using CM Punk, or actually, what's more likely, CM Punk is probably just like, I want to work with those two, and in an effort to have CM Punk not walk away, Tony Khan's like, whatever you want,
Mm-hmm.
which honestly he should do. But yeah, I agree with you. I think the Bucks are going to win this one, but I do believe this will be one of the few matches that will be pay per view worthy, and they will tear the house down.
Oh, I think they will too.
Any other thoughts on FTR versus the Buckaroos?
I do not.
All right, next we turn to a Rampage main event. I mean, a women's match where we have Hikaru Shida defending her. This is so stupid. Defending her newly won recently AEW Women's World Championship instead of Toni Storm getting a rematch, which would make sense. We have her defending her title against Toni Storm, Saraya, and Dr. Britt Baker, DMD.
So they're doing a fatal four-way.
Yep.
Well,
What?
that just sounds like a whole cluster.
Yeah, frankly, and this is going to be surprising coming from me, I would have rather just seen a longer match. Why didn't they make it a 2 out of 3 falls match between Sheeta and Storm?
I, I definitely think Storm should have got a rematch instead of having them be put in a fatal four-way.
And having it be 2 out of 3 falls adds a little bit extra, but Toni Storm can be like, oh yeah, you got me. I don't remember how she won, but it's like, you got me once, but can you do it again? And can you do it 2 times in a row? I don't think so, but I know I can beat you 2 times in a row.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. This is going to be a cluster, particularly after seeing. Now, I don't know what happened. I don't know what wires got crossed, but Britt Baker's match with Taya Valkyrie, or I know you know what I'm talking about. And I can't explain that because Britt Baker is not a bad wrestler at all. Just a miscue, but I mean, this match is going to be. And there's a story in the match, but it's obvious because Saraya and Toni Storm are obviously going to team up. And yet, I guarantee you, Sheeta's still going to retain the belt.
Unfortunately, I think I'd have to agree with that.
If there was a way that Riho could win this match, they would do it.
Unless they surprise us all and have her win it.
The only win that would be satisfying, honestly, and it wouldn't be that satisfying because they haven't built it up to anything. Actually, I take that back. What would be satisfying is having Saraya pin Toni Storm. But they won't. But they won't do it because that would actually be a story now, wouldn't it? So I'm calling Ashida.
Yep.
Anything else to add to the orgy? I mean, 4-way.
Um, no.
Next, what the hell is a tag team coffin match? We Darby Allin and Sting are taking on AR Fox and Swerve Strickland in a tag team coffin match. I'm assuming it's a coffin match, but you got to get both people in coffins.
It has it in the name, so that's what I'm assuming too.
But how do you? Do they have to stay in the coffin, or you just have to put them in there?
I'm assuming you just got to put them in there.
That I don't know.
And I watched the latest Dynamite where they set up that match, and when Sting done the promo, he done it as a Joker Sting, so we may see Joker Sting it all in.
Oh, guaranteed, which will be cool. Um, this match might be good, but historically speaking, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, because I've not watched every bit of wrestling ever. Whenever there's a real kooky match like this, it's usually eh.
Yeah,
I just remember the Clockwork Orange House of Fun match. Yeah.
I don't quite remember that one for some reason.
It's a hardcore match. That's all it was.
Oh.
But they, they just gimmicked it up, brother. Um, or my personal favorite is when they have a no DQ match and the referee counts shit.
Uh, Good old refs. Ref try to fuck on me.
I love that story.
Mhm.
If for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, I guess you would Google search Cody Rhodes Ted DiBiase Jr. story. Like it'll come up. It's Cody is a phenomenal storyteller because it's not just that story. He also has a kind of famous story where he almost got arrested because he let his dog go off leash all in weekend.
Oh, yep, I remember that.
And that he's got a lot of hilarious stories, but he has a gift. He has a gift for storytelling. So they should honestly just let him do that more often. And the man's got a hell of a promo. Um, I, I see Darby Allin and Sting win. Yeah, I see Darby Allin and Sting winning.
Mm, I don't know.
I
I
don't know
mean,
how, but one thing is for sure: Darby Allin is going to throw himself all over the place.
when is he not?
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I like it. Darby Allin's one of the few exceptions where, but again, it's because when he does it, it looks like a fucking car crash. Oh, a friend of mine, well, you know who it is, Eric, shared a video with me on Instagram about some jackoffs who wrapped. They created a trampoline out of barbed wire and had a wrestling match on it.
That
And
sounds interesting.
well, they seemed to be legitimately baffled by the fact that it shredded the shit out of them.
Oh, like they didn't think it would happen.
Yeah, like he was surprised that it hurt when he was thrown from a ladder onto a trampoline of barbed wire. Now to
Nah,
paint
that's just,
now to paint the picture here, they didn't wrap the trampoline in barbed wire. They took the trampoline part out. They had the ring with all the springs, and they like made a spider web of barbed wire.
oh, that's even more interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting. I don't know. You got Mogul Embassy winning it. I would say they would cheat, but it's a coffin match, so technically they can't.
I don't know. I think I'd have to agree with Darby and Sting.
I'm just thinking it's the first show they've done in the UK. There's going to be a lot of feel good moments.
Yeah.
So moving on, we both are calling Darby and Sting. Next, we have the Golden Elite being comprised of Kota Ibushi, Kenny Omega, and Hangman Adam Page in a six-man tag match between Konosuke Takeshita and Bullet Club Gold, Juice Robinson, and Jay White. The Golden Elite's going to win this.
There's nothing to it. It's just the Golden Elite's gonna win it.
Yeah. Which, I mean, again, will it be. It'll be a good match. There's going to be a lot of dynamic moves, but I don't know that this one will go down in the annals of history.
Yeah.
I mean, Kota Ibushi is fantastic, although now I cannot vouch for this because I did not watch the previous Forbidden Door, but I had heard some people saying he's losing a step, which I can't confirm or deny. I didn't see it, but all I know is that every match I've watched, Ibushi is flawless. I've never seen him make a mistake, and I'm sure he's made mistakes at some point or another, but I've never seen one.
Yeah.
Kenny's Kenny. Kenny's doing his thing. He seems to be starting to tone down the goofiness, although sometimes it still seeps through. And, I mean, Takeshita seems to be one of the few people that they're treating with a note of seriousness, which, to be frank, I didn't see that coming. Hangman seems to be. The sad thing is that this is an improvement, but he's becoming who he was 5 years ago. So it's a regression, but honestly, the regression is an improvement. And then Bullet Club Gold's doing great from what I've seen. Juice Robinson and Jay White. I was worried about Jay White coming to AEW. I thought he was going to get lost in the shuffle. Now, granted, he's in a tag team, but I think he had input on that, so I don't know. But yeah, the Golden Elite's going to win this match.
Mhm.
And I cannot believe there's another fucking Stadium Stampede match. If you do it every pay-per-view, it stops being special.
Yeah.
I think I have something written in the description that there's another Stadium Stampede match, which would normally send Jim Cornette into a conniption fit, but there's been so many now that it's probably just gonna, whatever. So for some reason, we've got Eddie Kingston, Orange Cassidy, and the Best Friends versus the Lucha Brothers. Oh, and the Lucha Brothers, sorry. I thought the Best Friends and the Lucha Brothers hated each other. Anyway. Versus the Blackpool... Oh, Jesus Christ on a cracker. The Blackpool Combat Club. Stop letting Moxley book this shit. Why?
Because it's all a deploy for Moxley to bleed.
This is going to be a cluster and not in a good way. It's going to suck. It's going to be the screaming shits. It's going to be stupid. There's going to be needless, dumb shit. They're probably going to get sued at some point. Just whatever. I don't even care who wins. Although you'd think the Blackpool Combat Club would win one.
Have they been in more than one?
Oh, yeah. They've been in like 3.
They have.
2 recently.
Don't
Oh, and sorry, the Blackpool Combat Club is consisting of John Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, and Wheeler Yuta, and 3 participants to be determined.
Yeah, like, when are we going to see them? Are we going to wait till day of?
I don't know. When they announce it, we'll probably do a short. Because that may influence who's going to win this, but you would assume that the Blackpool Combat Club would win it, but just to be AEW typical, I think Blackpool Combat Club's going to lose. This may be, and this would be a shame, do you think Bryan Danielson will come back?
I think it's a little too soon.
Maybe. I'm not, I don't know, but I don't know. Maybe they'll have some British guys. Anthony Ogogo might come back.
Could.
Could really fuck with everybody and have Cody come back. I don't care.
I don't think I either. I don't think I care either. I think I'm going to just keep this one open minded.
So my prediction is going to be that this is going to be stupid, boring, dumb, gratuitous, and completely and wholly inconsequential. The first Stadium Stampede was fun.
Mm-hmm.
After that, and what the fuck? This one's Stadium Stamp. I guess technically they haven't been in multiple Stadium Stampedes, but they've done Anarchy in the Arena, which is the same thing.
Basically the same thing.
I guess it honestly has to do with the size of the venue because, to be fair, the first Stadium Stampede was in an actual stadium. Anarchy in the Arena tends to be in smaller venues. This is an actual stadium, so it's the same thing but a different name.
You know, never know what we're going to get.
You know, it's like a spade's a spade, but there are different sizes.
Yep.
So anyway, it gonna be dumb. And then for some reason, Will Ospreay and Chris Jericho are having a match. Don't know why. Ospreay's gonna win.
Yeah, Ospreay. I think Ospreay's going to win, but I think it's going to be a halfway decent match.
Um. So this, I don't think Will Ospreay works too fast necessarily. But I will say, I've watched some of his matches, not matches. I've watched some of his matches where I was like, oh, if he would have let that breathe.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Jericho can learn him something if Ospreay is open to learning, which I believe he is because Ospreay has grown a lot over the years, as evidenced from his career trajectory. Frankly, I think it might be a little too late, but I don't see Ospreay making it big in WWE just because of how he's not the WWE typical size, shall we say.
Yeah, I think at this point in time, now if WWE was still big with their 205 Live,
that would be a waste.
You think so?
The whole concept of 205 Live was a waste, and especially coming from WWE. But Ospreay just doesn't have much of a character. That's something he has yet to really cultivate.
Yeah.
I think he can learn a lot from Jericho in that regard, but he has to learn selectively.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no denying Jericho knows what the fuck he's doing.
Yeah.
Sometimes he just ignores it for some reason, but I think if Ospreay, because Ospreay's going to have to work at Jericho's pace here, which is fine. I've got no issue with that. One of my favorite matches of all time, which again I'll bring it up, is Vampiro versus Pentagon Jr. at Ultima Lucha. It was obvious that Penta was working at Vampiro's pace, but it was still a good match because Vampiro was leading the match.
Yeah.
We've got Derek IP commenting, I hope the three mystery partners are Chris Hero, Nigel McGuinness, and Minoru Suzuki. I could see Suzuki. Nigel McGuinness cannot wrestle. So he's out. Because he had was it a neck injury or a spinal injury? I can't remember.
I think it's spinal.
I think it was. Chris Hero, I'm not sure. Is he an agent with WWE?
No.
No, okay, so he might be.
He wrestles in the Indies.
Okay, so there's a chance, Chris Hero. Oh no. If you know, you know. I wonder if they reveal 2 this Wednesday and save 1 for Sunday. Keep the 3 a secret. I don't know. I could see Suzuki. I could see Shota Umino as well showing up. Because their relationships with Moxley. But we'll see. I would like to see at least 1 secret reveal. He also says, you guys have 3 names? Not really, Derek, unless I would think that it would be some English guys, or at least 1.
Yeah. It would have to be. Gunther shows up.
Because I think the commentators mentioned 3 people that hate Eddie or have history. Oh, God. If it's people that hate Eddie Kingston, it's going to be a bunch of deathmatch wrestlers nobody's ever fucking heard of. So, oh my god, it's Johnny Fuckface. Oh my god, he's gonna bite the head off a chick. I don't know why JR might be there. Good God Almighty!
It's all in. He'll probably be there.
Good God Almighty! It's Mitch who gives a shit. And Suzuki. Yeah, but I see Will Ospreay winning that match. But honestly, it could be pretty good. Because let's not forget, I'm not a Jericho shill, believe me. There's been mistakes have been made. um, but especially when you consider how old he is, Jericho can still do it.
Yeah.
At a high level, and anybody who says he can't is just.
I'm not saying he's not as fast as he once was, or as light as he once was.
Oh, I apologize. He corrected me. His username is pronounced Dare Rich. Apologies. Thank you for setting me straight.
But like I said, Jericho's definitely not as thin as he once was. He's definitely not as fast as he once was.
No.
But I still believe. I'm not saying he can outwork anybody, but he can still move pretty well for his body type.
Well, and I want to touch on one thing because a lot of people give Jericho shit for his weight. First of all, dude's in his 50s. So chill out. Second of all, nobody's saying that he couldn't get ripped. In fact, we've seen it. He got pretty. Now, granted, this was probably about 5 years ago or so, but I mean, he got pretty lean. Now, he did say that he intentionally bulked up a bit when he started working in Japan because he was going for something. Let's be honest here. He's probably not wanting to be constantly on a diet in his 50s.
Yeah.
So just bulk up. Who cares? Like, really? Because he doesn't have an 8-pack, you're going to be like, oh, Chris Jericho's the shits now. Really? He'd still outwork your ass. He'd probably kick your ass, too. Not you, but you know what I mean.
I definitely Ospreay's gonna win it.
Yeah, I think. Well, it makes sense. Why would Ospreay get buried? Because again, Jericho's at a point in his career. If Jericho never won another match, unless it was against somebody stupid, he'd be fine. He's Chris Jericho.
Yep.
And then we have one of the other few good matches of the night. CM Punk defending the real World Championship, or as I've affectionately dubbed, the Straight Edge title. Or the Fake X Division title. I haven't decided yet. Against Samoa Joe.
I definitely think it's gonna be a killer match.
I'll put it this way: I think Punk will win, but I wouldn't be shocked if Joe won.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't be shocked if either one.
And the only reason I think Punk will win is because of what they're doing with that title belt.
Yeah.
On any other night, it could be either one of them, frankly. But I think the story is going to continue with that belt because I think ultimately, and that's another reason going into the main event why I think it's going to turn out the way it's going to turn out because Punk and MJF are on a collision course. Get it? Collision course. Happy accident. It's almost like they did it on purpose. Boom.
Ooh. Oh, I was just, I was putting in fireworks.
I know. I was letting it screw you guys on the audio platforms. You didn't see the majesty of the fireworks. You couldn't hear them, though.
Yeah, simmer down, simmer down.
Which, speaking of collision, though, I will say I used Saturday Night's All Right for a Fight and a short for the Average Intelligence podcast, where I was proposing a way to get rid of the national deficit is to have politician boxing pay-per-views, and all the proceeds go towards the national debt. Taxpayer fund that shit. I'm serious. Like, it'll work. And it's all voluntary, but let's be real. Who wouldn't like to see politicians square up and beat the shit out of each other? I know I would.
Hey, I'd pay. I pay.
I think you could sell pay-per-views for $100. Not gonna lie.
Oh, I almost guarantee it.
I let's be honest here. If I could see Rand Paul fight Anthony Fauci, who I know is not technically a politician, but he is a government employee, I'd watch that fight.
Hey, we could watch Kane beat up people again.
Perfect opener. I'd like to see Kane chokeslam a Democrat.
Exactly.
I mean, frankly, I'd watch Kane chokeslam anyone, but he's a Republican, so that's
Yeah.
not a political statement. That's just a fact. I'm telling you, run with it. But I used that in the short, and I'm like, okay, it's grown on me. Didn't like it the first time I heard it, but much like FTR's new theme music, which is not new anymore, but first time I hated it, and then it just progressively grew on me, along with yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got Punk winning that one, and then everybody knows what the main event is: MJF versus Adam Cole. MJF has to win this. Now, will he cheat? Absolutely.
Well, MJF will do whatever he has to do to win.
Exactly, and that's where the double cross. Now, that's why part of me thinks maybe they will win the belts, but then that'll make. The only problem with them winning the ROH tag belts is it buries Aussie open for a relatively cheap swerve.
It would be different if the world title was before the tag, because if the belt changes hands and they got to work together still, and then they win the tags, they still got to work together.
Right. I don't know. All I know, I mean, MJF. It's too early to take the belt off MJF. He's one of the few good things they got going on.
Agreeable.
Now again, the story's been great, but just because Adam Cole loses here doesn't mean Adam Cole can never go for the belt again. But for this story, I think MJF has to win it because they have to weave this thread. But what I think they're gonna do is ultimately have Punk and MJF collide again. Now, whether or not that's before or even if they do, which for the love of all that is good and smart, they have to do CM Punk confronting the Elite in some fashion.
That's gonna happen.
It's got to.
I would have liked to almost seen the Elite versus FTR and Punk at All In.
I agree. That, honestly, that should have been the match at All In.
Yep, and I think that should have prevented it.
Now, maybe, and God, I can only hope, maybe the Bucks winning the tag titles, if they do so, will help set something up for, I believe the next pay-per-view is All Out, right? Labor Day weekend? Yeah. But again, that's not very much time, but luckily for them, the story's written itself, so maybe they can make something happen there, and we can finally get, because All Out would be an appropriate place, because it will be in Chicago.
Yep.
And, oh, yes, it will be. If they're going to do it, it's got to be at All Out, because that's where it all went down.
Yep.
A year later.
That's what they're ultimately setting up for, maybe.
I hope so. Please. That will be, case in point, that will be something where I don't give a shit what else is on that card. If that's going down, I'm buying that pay-per-view.
Yep.
And that's how you sell a wrestling pay-per-view, ladies and gentlemen. That's all you need. CM Punk versus the Elite in some fashion. And then MJF and Punk can do their thing, get Punk the world championship, and then just pretend like the last 2 years didn't fucking happen. Because honestly, it's a regression, but it's a regression that I believe is necessary.
Yep. It just makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. Because Punk can still wrestle now, but I mean, he's not as Punk as he once was.
No.
And he won't be. So these stories need to be told now. It's unfortunate, but it's the truth. Punk can still go now at a high level. He doesn't necessarily need to be relegated to mentor status yet. I think he's got a few more years at least. but the clock is ticking. And as we saw at the previous All Out, he injured his ankle doing a buckshot lariat. These things are going to happen. So if you're going to do it, and I believe they should do it, they need to do it now.
Yeah.
Fortunately for them, in this case, the story has already been written. So you just need to not be dumb with TV for a month.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to check something real quick. I don't know that we have time. Let's see. September. Oh, jeez. Nope, we don't have. How is that? Oh, dude. You gotta be kidding me. I didn't even click that. You want to know how stupid they are?
What?
All Out is 1 week after All In.
Is it really?
Yes, September 3rd, Labor Day weekend. They have nothing set up for All Out.
Wow.
Oh my god, they are so stupid. They're going to have to set stuff up at All In, so all of our predictions may have gone out the window because they've got to set stuff up. All Out is literally the week after, and as far as I know, nothing's been set up.
Nothing I've heard either.
I refuse to believe that they are stupid enough that nobody's thought about that. But just maybe.
This is AEW we're talking about.
All Out's going to be the shits unless they do Punk versus the Elite.
Either All Out's going to be the shits or All In's going to be the shits.
Well, All In looks like it's going to be the shits, but they might both be the shits because they haven't set anything up for All Out that I'm aware of. Now, granted, I was a bad boy. I haven't watched any wrestling this week, and I didn't watch a lot of wrestling last week, so I may very well have missed something. But I have socials too, so I haven't seen anything.
I haven't either.
Frankly, at this point, the only thing they can really do for All Out is it be Dynamite versus Collision. And you can screw that up so easily.
Yeah.
But I predict MJF winning. Have to tell you about the sponsor real quick, and then I know Brian's got to get going here. So the sponsor, because I forgot, but you know what would have helped me not forget to tell you about the sponsor, ironically, is the sponsor, OMG CBD. I could have taken some of their fantastic CBD products that help with many things, including memory, and then I wouldn't have forgotten to tell you about the story. All your CMD, all your CBD and OMG needs at omgcbd.biz, or if you're in the Columbus, Indiana area, 925 2nd Street in Columbus, the owner Sasha can help you with all of your pains, aches, ailments, and otherwise problems with drugs. Legal drugs, not really, but with all your CBD needs, and I believe also Delta 8, Delta 9, and handcrafted, handmade jewelry even. She's all into the local stuff. It's fantastic.
Ooh.
Yeah, so All Out's probably going to suck. And All In is probably going to be mediocre. But on a positive note, 2023 has to end sometime. There's only one more pay-per-view left this year, or is that the last one? I think we still have Full Gear in November. Hang on.
Yeah, I think we got Full Gear.
Yeah, Full Gear is next. But then we're done. And then maybe, just maybe, and then it'll be time for Cody to win the belt next year in April. So, God, knock on. Well, anyway, that's depressing. I know you gotta get going, buddy. So, thank you for enjoying this episode of Down the Middle. As always, please like, share, and subscribe. Check out the shorts. Check out the other video clips we've done, past episodes. Go watch them all now, tonight. And I don't know. Next week we'll either go over the original All In or we'll do a quick Well, hang on, that's not next week. I mean
Following.
the week of All Out. We'll either do some kind of quick preview before the show starts. I don't know. It depends on what the pay per view is going to be like. May not be worth it.
Yeah.
But if you prefer to listen to the podcast instead of watch it, you can check us out on all these typical audio streaming platforms, including but not limited to Spotify, YouTube Music, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podcast Addict, all those, Amazon, all those good ones. But until next time, watch wrestling, have fun, wear protection.
Yeah.